Big League Chew.
And Max Muncy, I want to congratulate Max. Max. Come here, Max. His arms are very strong when I touch them. I'm used to shaking politicians and hitting their armors like Jell-O. And now it's like steel, all these guys.
Steel? Well, put a tariff on it then.
Donald Trump was probably expecting another quiet evening of self-congratulation and truth social doom scrolling until Jimmy Kimmel took a flamethrower to his ego on live TV. With jokes sharper than Trump's legal team and timing that could impeach a clock, Kimmel didn't just roast the former president, he deep-fried him in satire and served him up with a side of humiliation. So, what exactly did he say that left even the studio audience gasping? And why is Trump furiously tweeting, in all caps again? Let's unpack the chaos.
Websites, you know, a lot of fans are wondering why the Dodgers organization, the Dodgers players, would have anything to do with Trump, why they would go. We have to remember, we had a big fire here at the beginning of the year, and Donald Trump is the one who, 5 days after the fires went out, turned on an imaginary valve and sent millions of gallons of water hundreds of miles away from here. So we owe him. We at least owed him this.
Before we move on, smash that like button and subscribe, because trust me, you don't want to miss this. Just when you thought the economic anxiety index couldn't spike any higher without a defibrillator, Trump stepped back up to the mic and slapped fresh tariffs on everything from Chinese electric vehicles to steel, aluminum, and, if he could, probably fortune cookies too, just for being a little too wise. The logic? Allegedly to protect American industry. The reality? A flashback to the 2018 trade war sequel absolutely no one asked for, complete with economic whiplash, angry...
I'd say this visit from the Dodgers was a nice distraction for Trump from the fact that he is busy destroying the world economy. It was another terrifying day on Wall Street. The Dow was down, the S&P was down, cocaine was up. The S&P 500 has lost more than 10% of its total value since Thursday, costing Americans billions of dollars from their stock portfolios and retirement funds. But here's the thing about Donald Trump. He doesn't care about money. He knows that there are more
farmers and a whole lot of lost sleep on Wall Street. Naturally, the economy reacted like someone spotting their toxic ex at the grocery store. Panicked, confused, and ready to bolt. Prices are now set to rise faster than a Mar-a-Lago membership fee, and American manufacturers are biting their nails as they realize the raw materials they need to stay competitive are
Let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go, for healthcare, for our climate, for science, for journalism, for justice, for free speech. It was a terrible night for poor people, for the middle class, for seniors who rely on Social Security, for our allies in Ukraine.
Twice as expensive, tangled in red tape, and showing up late, if they show up at all. Meanwhile, economists across the country are rubbing their temples and whispering sweet nothings to their spreadsheets, trying to figure out how slapping tariffs on essential components helps anyone. Besides antique flag factories and people who still think Amazon is just a rainforest. And in the middle of this swirling economic...
A night of pomposity and circumstance as Donald Trump addressed a joint session of Congress because, you know, he rarely gets to be on TV, so why not? And so anytime this maniac speaks, it is a joint session. It's a joint session, it's an edible session, it's a raid the medicine cabinet for anything to dull the pain kind of night. And tonight was no exception. His speech started late, and I guess they were waiting for that last coat of shellac to dry on his face, but... The reviews are in, and guess what? He did great, according to Fox News anyway. Mostly English-sounding words semi-coherently strung together without any visible on-air defecation. A masterpiece.
Nonsense. Jimmy Kimmel sharpened his monologue like a chef getting ready to roast an especially overcooked ham. You could almost feel the collective gasp from late-night viewers. Kimmel wasn't just coming for Trump. He came armed with receipts, punchlines, and that signature smirk that practically said, "I've been waiting for this moment since 2019, because let's be honest, Trump slapping on tariffs to protect America, while the markets nosedive and factories brace for layoff.
Fifth time Trump has addressed Congress, and he got quite an introduction from the Sergeant at Arms.
Mr. Speaker, members of Congress, please welcome Diaper Donnie, Man Boot Mussolini, Captain Bone Spurs, Mar-a-Lardo, the notorious P.I.G., General Von Schützenpants, Putin's Pork Bucket, His Flatulency, the President of the United States, Donald Jellybelly Trump.
Members of the Trump family were there. Eric was there.
Is like setting your house on fire to keep burglars out. Bold, destructive, and absolutely destined to go viral. And Kimmel? He saw the hypocrisy stacked higher than a Trump Tower penthouse. On one hand, Trump rants about China stealing American jobs, but on the other, he has a long history of manufacturing his own branded products overseas. The man once sold Trump ties made in China, steaks cut in Uruguay, and water bottled somewhere that definitely wasn't Flint, Michigan. So while Trump revved up a trade war he couldn't even finish the first time, Kimmel calmly walked on stage and delivered what could have been an economic intervention in comedic form. No yelling, no table flips, just surgical sarcasm with a side of fiscal flashbacks. Well, the storm finally hit. It happened. Donald Trump, the man who once declared himself a stable genius, while probably forgetting how many syllables are in the word stable.
This is not a solar eclipse, so there's no chance that anyone, including our president, will inadvertently blind himself again. Wow, you know, I was thinking today, what a dumb guy we picked for president. You know how he fired all those federal workers without even knowing what they do? Well, a judge today ordered thousands of them to be rehired just in time for the government to shut down tomorrow. Things are running like a Swiss clock.
Just got flamed on live television by none other than Jimmy Kimmel. And not your average late-night jab. No, we're talking full-on public decapitation, with punchlines so sharp they could have sliced through Trump's ego like a hot knife through Velveeta cheese. But before we get to Kimmel's glorious comedy, execution, let's rewind and take a look at what led to this epic takedown. Spoiler alert, it involves Trump's favorite pastime, starting trade wars with the economic foresight of a squirrel hoarding bottle caps. It all started when Trump, in a fit of economic brilliance that only he could mistake for genius, announced a fresh batch of tariffs. This time, he's going after Chinese electric vehicles, steel, aluminum, and pretty much anything that sounds remotely foreign. Because nothing says, "Make America great again," like causing inflation while trying to win a pissing contest with the second largest economy on Earth. Trump unveiled the tariffs like a toddler showing off crayon scribbles to disinterested adults. And just as people were trying to wrap their heads around why this man keeps treating the economy like a game of Monopoly played by a cat, the leaks began. This wasn't
Getting more details on what former years of Trump might look like, courtesy of Trump himself. He sat for an interview with Time magazine where he laid out his priorities for a second term, and it's quite a his comp, I tell you. Trump says, all true, what I'm about to inform you. He says he would carry out a deportation operation to remove more than 11 million people from the country. He says he would use the military to build migrant detention camps. He would let red states monitor women's pregnancies and prosecute those who violate abortion bans. He would, at his
just a
personal
leak. It was a literary masterpiece of dysfunction. Apparently, Trump's closest advisors were spiraling behind the scenes. The group chat included frantic messages about how the tariffs might backfire, how Trump didn't actually understand how tariffs work, and how someone should probably explain to him that China doesn't pay tariffs, Americans do. Naturally, Jimmy Kimmel got his hands on this leaked treasure trove and did what any responsible American comedian would do. He obliterated them in front of millions, live on air, with zero mercy and 10 gallons of sarcasm. Kimmel's monologue opened with all the warmth of a frozen frying pan to the face. He mocked the leaked texts like they were the script to a rejected reality show called Dumb Dynasty. He didn't even have to exaggerate. The material roasted itself. Typos, emojis, one advisor asking if tariffs count as patriotic points. This wasn't political strategy. It was a middle school group project gone rogue, and Trump? Oh, he wasn't spared. Kimmel grilled him like a cheap steak at a
This Donald Trump, is like the Emperor from Star Wars. He's old, he's evil, and he keeps coming back with no reasonable explanation whatsoever. Just when they finally scrubbed the last of the ketchup off those White House walls. I'm still trying to figure out what happened. Hey, be honest. Last week, did you guys send that monologue to a Republican like I asked you to? Those of you who are...
Lago barbecue. From mocking Trump's toddler-level grasp of economics to dragging his flip-floppy history with China, 1 minute praising them, the next blaming them for his fast food-induced heartburn, Kimmel laid into him like he was auditioning for a roast special titled How to Lose a Country in 10 Tweets. And those tariffs? Kimmel explained them in plain English, so simple even Trump might have almost understood. Tariffs sound tough, sure, but in reality they're just taxes on imports, meaning Americans pay more for the same stuff. So, congratulations, folks. You get to pay $2,000 more for a fridge so Trump can pretend he's punching China in the face. Yay, nationalism! Let's also not forget the sequel to Trump's 2018 trade war disaster. Back then, he imposed tariffs on over $360 billion worth of Chinese goods. What followed? This time, with even less planning and even more ego, it's like he looked at the economic dumpster fire of his last term and said, needs more gasoline. Fox Business aired
It's so great to finally have an energetic young president again.
Let's all dedicate themselves to governing in our land. Fill them with the love of truth and strength to uphold our democracy and the rule of law. Enable us to be a people at peace among ourselves and a blessing to other nations of the world. We will serve you faithfully in our generation.
That was our president sleep farting his way through a service held in his honor at the Washington National Cathedral. They should have let him bring...
So awkward, they felt like hostage videos. Trump, of course, ran to Truth Social at midnight to call Kimmel a loser and blame China for everything, from inflation to the Kardashians. Kimmel didn't stop, though. He aired a supercut of Trump contradicting himself on China, calling them friends in 2017, thieves in 2018, very fine people in 2019, and then accusing them of inventing COVID and TikTok in 2020. It was less a coherent policy and more a bingo game of international paranoia. And the visual aids? Oh, they were glorious. Charts showed how the tariffs would disproportionately hurt the Midwest, paired with side-by-side footage of Trump saying one thing, then immediately contradicting himself, like his brain has a lag. At one point, Kimmel joked, Trump's economic strategy is just throwing darts at a world map with his eyes closed. Meanwhile, the leaked text chain was getting memed into oblivion. Twitter users...
Our president has a plan to change that all. They say ignorance is bliss. And today, Donald Trump signed an executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. I know it sounds like a joke, but it's not. Trump famously said he loves the poorly educated, and now we will have so many more people to love. Trump signed the order during an event at the White House. They invited a group of children to attend. They're like, hey, kids, who hate school? And they're like, well, we do. And they said, well, good news, it's over.
Reenacted it with sock puppets, and late-night writers dubbed it the new Constitution of Stupidity. It read like notes passed in the back of a failing economics class. Apparently, someone in the group asked if Tesla would now be considered Chinese because it has a factory in Shanghai. Another wondered if tariffs applied to TikTok dances. By now, the damage was done. Kimmel's monologue had gone viral. Mainstream. News picked it up. Economists were tweeting their applause, and the White House even dropped a subtle jab by reposting Kimmel's segment with the caption, "Leadership Matters." And here's the thing, this wasn't just comedy, it was catharsis. We've reached the point where late-night comedians are doing more to inform the public about economic policy than the former president of the United States. And the public? They're listening. Swing voters in Michigan and Wisconsin, aka the Electoral College MVPs, are watching their manufacturing jobs dangle in uncertainty.
It makes a What makes a Donald Trump presidency more spasmodically volatile than other presidencies is that their first instinct when something like this happens is to bury something that embarrasses them under a steaming pile of what, Guillermo?
Bull.
Of bull. Yeah, bull. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly right. And this is one of those like Star Wars where we'll be getting backstory and prequels and sequels for many years to come. So the original story published in The Atlantic was this: the Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans by Jeffrey Goldberg. And that pretty much sums it up. That's what happened. But these people, they can't just admit they screwed up, even though it's right there in front of our eyes. It's as plain as
Small
day.
businesses are bracing for increased costs, and average Americans are starting to realize that every time Trump talks trade, their wallets take the hit. In fact, one recent poll showed Trump's approval rating among independents dropped after the tariff announcement. Turns out nobody's thrilled about paying more for phone chargers and toasters just so Trump can have a trade war cosplay moment. The Biden team, not ones to miss an opportunity, quickly jumped on the chance. They quietly released an ad, no. Words, just footage of Kimmel's monologue spliced with real Trump speeches. It was savage, it was subtle, and it was perfect. Trump's response? Even more rambling this time. He claimed the tariffs were going to bring jobs back, lower inflation, and fix the national debt, because apparently tariffs are now magic beans. He also threatened to tariff the entire European Union if they didn't stop being so, well, French, whatever that means. And just when you thought it couldn't get more absurd, someone unearthed an old tweet from Trump in 2011 where he said, and I kid you not, tariffs are a tax on the American people. You know, before he reinvented himself as the human embodiment of a trade war.
An exciting week for Fox News. Trump squatted down for a two-part chat with Laura Ingraham. They covered a wide range of subjects, including his son Barron.
You talked the other day about how music was your aptitude as a child. But is Barron's aptitude, in your view, business or politics?
Maybe technology. He can look at a computer. I try turning off his car, I turn it off, I turn off his laptop. I said, oh, good. And I go back 5 minutes later, he's got his laptop. I said, how'd you do that? None of your business, Dad. No, he's got an unbelievable aptitude in technology.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like we've got a budding Bill Gates on our hands.
So, to recap, Trump launched a tariff blitz with no real strategy, got exposed by his own advisors in a group chat that reads like a parody, and then got publicly roasted by Jimmy Kimmel in front of millions. And somehow, he still thinks he's winning. At this point, the only people supporting Trump's economic plans are the ones who think GDP stands for guns, Donald, and patriotism. Kimmel ended the monologue with a line that could very well go down in late-night history. Trump's
proclamation that proclaims March 2025 as Women's History Month in honor of all the wonderful women in your administration, all the wonderful women in America, and in honor of everything you've done for women and this administration has done for women in just, what, a month and a half? So.
Yeah, we've done a lot, and women have done a lot for us, right? This is an honor. Women, we love you.
He always knows the right.
Then tariffs are the economic version of eating glue and calling it a protein shake. And honestly, he's not wrong. Because if there's one thing Trump has taught us, it's that no matter how many times the economy suffers, no matter how many experts warn him, no matter how many group chats betray him, he will always double. Down on nonsense, ego, and bad ideas wrapped in buzzwords and sprinkled with delusion. And just like that, the tariff stunt turned into a three-ring circus, with Trump as the ringmaster, juggling fireballs labeled economy, re-election, and basics. Logic, only to drop them all at once. Within hours of the tariff announcement, markets trembled, manufacturers panicked, and somewhere in Beijing, trade officials popped popcorn and settled in to watch the chaos unfold. Then came the text chain leak, because of course, there was a text chain. Every campaign meltdown now comes with a side of digital receipts. This one, a glorious mess. Team Trump's group chat read less like a coordinated political strategy and more like the panicked conversation of a high school drama club after someone flubbed their lines during opening night. Internal panic leaked out like a cracked MAGA. Thermos, confusion, finger-pointing, and at least 3 uses of WTF in all caps. Aides were scrambling to figure out whether they were supposed to spin this.
Deadly storms, 42 Americans were killed in tornadoes and wildfires in several states. And while the devastation was happening, our commander-in-chief meteorologist was back at Mar-a-Lago, again playing golf. As the storms raged, he offered these words of comfort to those who lost their families and their homes. He wrote, "I just won the golf club championship, probably my last, at Trump International Golf Club in Palm Beach County, Florida. Such a great honor. The awards dinner is tonight at the club. I want to thank the wonderful golf staff and all of the many fantastic golfers that participated in the event. Such fun indeed."
As economic genius or some next-level 4D chess while donors texted things like, "Call me when he stops yelling at Ford." And then, Jimmy Kimmel. With a monologue that will live in comedy infamy, he didn't just roast Trump, he slow-roasted him like a $3 brisket at a state fair. Low heat, high smoke, and a glaze of pure sarcasm. Kimmel walked out on stage like a man who had just been handed a gift-wrapped scandal and a 24-karat golden punchline license. He hit every note: the tariffs, the text leak, and the sheer lunacy of trying to fight a 21st century trade war with 19th century thinking and Wi-Fi that barely works at Mar-a-Lago. He painted a picture so vivid you could practically see Trump, pacing his golf course in a windbreaker, muttering about Chinese magnets and blaming solar panels for inflation. Kimmel's takedown didn't just sting, it landed with a thud. The clip racked up millions of views overnight. TikTok teens, Wall Street analysts, and even the occasional weary Republican strategist found themselves watching the same video and muttering some version of, "Well, he's not wrong." The comeback tour Trump had promised? It was now officially a traveling blooper reel, with the Secret Service scrambling to keep the bloopers off camera. As Kimmel wrapped up his monologue with a smirk that said, "I'm not done, but I'll let you recover," the message was clear. When your policies don't make sense, your inner circle is leaking panic, and even comedians are fact-checking your nonsense better than CNN. Maybe, just maybe, it's time to log off. Or, keep tweeting. It's great for the ratings.